breaks. The federal judge overseeing Michael Flynn's case delaying the decision to drop it.
The move drawing immediate backlash from Flynn's attorney and from critics, Steve.
No kidding, Ainsley. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington, where we could soon learn who from the Obama administration was involved in all of this, including the unmasking of Michael Flynn's name, Griff, from that secret documents.
That's right. Steve, Ainsley, and Brian, good morning. Remember, acting DNI Rick Grenell declassified the names of top Obama officials behind the unmasking of Flynn. He carried the list to the Justice Department. Now, DOJ says they're not releasing that list, but it is within Grenell's right to do so. Now, unmasking, to be clear, means revealing the names of U.S. citizens contained in intelligence reports. To do so for political reasons is against federal law. And as our own Ed Henry broke the news last night, this could present real problems for Obama officials because the unmasking came between the period of Election Day and Inauguration Day. And sources told Ed, Grenell has 4 or 5 more batches of intel to release. One in particular could pose real issues for former CIA Director John Brennan. Meanwhile, Flynn is left in legal limbo a little longer. It's an unusual move in a criminal prosecution, given the DOJ abandoned the effort. Now outside groups will be allowed to offer opinions. Judge Emmett Sullivan are ordering the court to accept amicus briefs or friend of the court filings. Sullivan writing this: at the appropriate time, the court will enter a scheduling order governing the submission of any amicus curiae briefs. Well, Flynn's attorney, Sidney Powell, responded, writing in part, the proposed amicus brief has no place in this court. No further delay should be tolerated or any further expense caused to him and his defense. This would be further extended if Sullivan calls for evidentiary hearings as well. Senator Rand Paul, who will offer an amendment on the Senate floor today on FISA abuse, had this to say.
They brought him in to try to create a crime. What a terrible travesty of justice. The ultimate thing for us in the legislature is we should not let these abuses of power happen again. And I'm pushing hard to make sure that we take this power away from government.
Now, the timeline for Grenell's release of that list is unclear. Could be as soon as today. We'll have to wait and find out as the Flynn case plays out. Brian, Ainsley, Steve?
Hey, thanks a lot, Griff. Yeah, there's so many different elements to this, one of which you just know how the judge feels when he came out last time he saw Flynn and said, you sold out your country, which is farcical. This is the guy who killed Zarqawi, was sitting there eating sand for months and devising a way to get the Afghanistan surge to work, even though the president hamstrung him. It is inconceivable. We'll talk to Brett Tolman shortly about that. But the people have pointed to this. The judge's ruling appeared to be prompted by a unique request filed one day earlier by the team of Watergate prosecutors who pursued the investigation of Richard Nixon. They thought to file a friend of the court brief, and it looks like the judge says, great, I'll go to delay of game. Maybe he's actually waiting to see if Trump's going to win or not and hoping the next Justice Department will adhere to that. Meanwhile, to pivot over to what else is happening with the masking and unmasking, are we going to get the names of the people that were involved in the unmasking of Trump officials as they waited to take office? Senator Lindsey Graham is incensed by the possibility that he was actually listened to.
The Obama administration intentionally unmasked a conversation with the incoming National Security Advisor to President Trump. That is stunning. If I ever find that the intelligence community is unmasking my phone calls with foreign leaders where I discuss foreign policy as a United States Senator, heads will roll. I find it unbelievable that the outgoing administration is surveilling the incoming administration. That is incredibly wrong, at the minimum unethical.
All right, so also, yes, okay, thank you, Brian. So Britt Hume said, as far as the attorney's concerned, it's unpredictable what he's going to do. He was prepared to announce a sentence, right? Well, then charges were dropped against Flynn, and he even suggested, as you were saying, Brian, that he was once a traitor. He later walked that back. As far as the declassification of Obama officials who unmasked Flynn's name, Ed Henry's sources are telling him they're going to declassify 4 or 5 other batches of intel. Could get very sticky for John Brennan, and that they held back intel that Russia wanted Hillary Rodham Clinton to win. Senate Republicans are furious about this. The Senate Judiciary Judiciary Committee wants to request top Obama officials to testify now to get to the bottom of this. Who are some of those that they want to testify? Sally Yates, James Clapper, John Brennan, Comey, and McCabe, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it's a laundry list, Ainsley, of the people we have heard from over the last couple of years about what a bad actor that Michael Flynn was, and now we're seeing so many details that they could have somehow been involved. It will be interesting to see what sort of executive privilege the Obama people do try to exert over the Senate, saying, look, the president was entitled to my fair assessment, so I'm not going to tell you what was said behind closed doors. Who knows what they're going to do? But going back to the judge thing, you know, a week ago, we were talking about how, look at that. Michael Flynn finally has been vindicated in this. The government went after him. But for the judge to suddenly say, I'm going to take these friend of the court reviews, these amicus briefs, that is so unusual because it was 24 times the judge refused to hear from third parties who would say things favorable to Flynn. But now that the DOJ is saying, okay,
unbelievable.
You're out of any sort of trouble. Now the judge wants to hear, oh, do you have something bad to say? And like Brian said, this group identifying themselves as Watergate prosecutors, on Monday they said, we've already got a list. Here's the list of the bad stuff Michael Flynn did. And Judge, you cannot kick this out. So that's where we are.
Yep. It's not over.
Right. Unbelievable. I just feel so bad. His life remains in limbo, and I'm just wondering what moves he can actually make. To another Fox News alert now, a stimulus showdown.